yes, I have heard of the news, and I had an opportunity to listen to the president making the official announcement thereafter. It is indeed a very sad day for South Africa, a sad day for Africa, and a sad day for the world.
Mm-hmm.
You are correct in saying that I have spent a number of times with him, playing my role, singing his praises as one of the greatest freedom fighters we have had in our lifetime, and one of the greatest selfless leaders we have had in South Africa, Africa and the world over. A champion of peace, a champion of justice, a champion of reconciliation, and a champion of freedom.
Mr. Mkiva, if I could ask you, are there any particular moments of your time that you spent with Mr. Mandela that now you think back to and you can remember as special moments?
Every moment when I met with President Nelson Mandela was a special moment, and it will forever be a special moment that will be everlasting as long as I live, because I have treasured all of those moments, because Mandela is a towering figure, a man with a huge presence, with a great aura. And therefore, those moments will be moments which we can go as far back from the time I first met him after his release in 1990. And, you know, I have grown up as a young man having an imagination of a Nelson Mandela, the freedom fighter. And even in my composition of poetry, it was based on imagination of this particular figure. But when I met him, I was never disappointed, because it was like the confirmation of what we have always imagined, because he was this giant, this tall giant, as I said, with this towering, you know, presence, someone who has a great intelligence. You know, if you listen to his words, his articulation, his grandiloquence, and, you know, his warmth, most importantly, a leader who was driven by love, a leader who was guided by compassion. So, I mean, you can go on the road to the elections, the build-up, going with him to rallies, the way he addresses people, the way he interacts with ordinary people, his love for children, you know, his love for education. I've learned a lot, and I normally say one of the things that I've learned from Nelson Mandela is the cornerstone of the African values, and I think the manner in which he espoused those values, you can tell that this is the man who was groomed and grounded in the institution of traditional leadership, and he excelled in terms of championing the African value system. He became a true symbol of Ubuntu humanity, the way he lived his life, sacrificing everything else for his own people, for his own country, for his nation, for his continent. You know, so for me, I think every moment, as I have indicated, it was a special moment.
And Mr. Mkiva, when was the last time that you were able to spend time with Mr. Mandela before his passing?
Well, I met him the last time in 2011. But in 2010, shortly before the World Cup, I had a good hour to hour and a half, which I spent with him together with his grandson, Chief Mandela. And we were working on a special project that was related to the World Cup, where he was basically signing the 32 artistic flags for an art project for the World Cup. That is the time when he was chatting with us, asking us all sorts of questions and telling us some stories, some fairy tale stories, and so on and so forth. And when I looked at the interaction between him and Mandla Mandela, you could see that he was a very, very proud father, proud grandfather, proud great-grandfather, and he kept on asking him about the responsibilities in the family, how are the cattle, from ordinary things like that to very serious, things, that you could see that this man was talking to his eldest grandson. And so that's the last time that I spent time, and we were chatting the whole of that hour and a half.
You mentioned earlier that you learned a lot of things from him in the time that you spent with him, and he sounds like he was a great teacher, although not advertently so, just in the way that he did things. Would that be?
He was a great teacher. He was a man who instilled a great sense of importance in terms of how the young people should take education as part of the center stage of their life. But he was also a great preacher in the sense that he had always preached peace and reconciliation.
Yes.
So one of the things that I can take from him, I sum it up in one of my poems by saying that he is someone who believed that if you want prosperity for a period of 5 years, you grow maize. If you want prosperity for a period of 10 years, you grow trees. But if you want prosperity for a lifelong term, you grow people. And at the center of the growth of the people is an investment in human development. And the best mechanism of doing so, the conveyor belt of that investment in human development, is education. Madiba firmly believes that the youth must just ensure that they educate themselves and educate themselves and educate themselves so that they are able to lead, having and being enlightened through formal education.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mkiva. I was wondering, do you have any poems maybe that you would be able to tell me one or two lines from that you remember from the time that you were a praise singer, when you were praise singer for Mr. Mandela?
Well, I have defined Nelson Mandela in one of my poems as the stem of our society, a root of our revolution, the filament of freedom, the calyx of consciousness, the corolla of people's cause, the pistil of peace, the pollen of prosperity, and the eNCA of amicable solutions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mkiva, for your time on
You're
this
welcome.
night.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Know more. eNCA.com